What's up, everybody? This is Cameron with Cameron's Outdoor Academy. So today we're going to do a little different video. As if you've watched any of my videos, you know I've done a lot of fishing and those type of videos, cleaning fish, stuff like that. Well, today we're working on something a little different. So what I want to do is I'm going to walk y'all through how to set up raised bed gardens. So as everybody out there knows that the price of food's going up, groceries are, let's just say, they're crazy. So what can we do to kind of be more self-sufficient in the outdoors? No matter if you're in a city, what can you do to produce food for you and your family? So let me show you what I got here. So these are cattle troughs. Now, you don't have to use cattle troughs. You can use basic plywood, squares. I mean, I've even seen people put totes out, like your storage totes, and fill those up and grow in them. But I'm gonna walk you through how I'm gonna do my raised bed gardens in these totes. Of course, got a lot of grass, a lot of weeds here, so I don't really want to dig in the ground because of the amount of weed pressure that we have. As you can see out there, we live on a cattle farm, and basically everywhere you look is another type of weed that is really aggressive. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to walk y'all through it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is set up a spot where you can get these beds where you don't have to deal with weeds around them. The most aggravating thing in the world is to have your bed set up and have weeds 3 foot tall right around them, or have to weed eat and deal with that. Is aggravating. So here's what I did to combat. I went to Lowe's. I got some 6 mil plastic to go around the sides of the beds. I may come back and put some more in this spot right here to kind of square it up. But what this is going to do, this is going to give me some space around the bed that I can throw some mulch down and keep the grass and stuff away from the edges so it's easier to mow. Also, when you're dealing with raised beds, if you're cutting the grass around them and some of the grass clippings goes into the inside of your beds, it will cause weeds to start growing more. So that's something you want to try to avoid. Now, these do not have holes in the bottom of them. It does have the drain plug hole right there. But what I'm going to do is, I've been giving it some thought, and I watched some YouTube videos, and some of the people who are doing this, they drill holes in the bottom of them. Then some folks aren't. There's an idea going around with these that if you don't drill holes in the bottom of them and just leave the drain hole and just put some rock or something around it to keep it from stopping up, then what happens is you have a reservoir of water in the bottom of your bed that, if you due to evaporation, it'll push that water up into your plants and you don't have to water as much. Now here, I'm in South Georgia. Here we get relatively a lot of water. Depends on the time of year. Right now we're getting probably 2 to 3 inches every couple of months, but in the summertime when it gets really hot, it kind of drops down a lot. But that's no problem if you have a layer of water along the bottom. When it heats up, it'll convect that water up into the top of your soil. So we'll see. I mean, if I need to, I can always come back and knock some holes in the bottom of them. That's no problem. So it's just going to be an experiment. This is my first time doing cattle troughs that doesn't have holes in the bottom of them. So we're going to see how it goes. So here's the next step. Once you get all your plastic down, where you put your drain plugs where you want them to go, I took some pea gravel and I covered up those drain holes. The reason I did that is because there's going to be dirt breaking down inside of these bins. What I'm going to do is to have this good rich soil leach out of my tanks. Also, if it all gets there and it's bunching up, what it can do is it can actually restrict my water flow and stop it from, what is it, girl? Cow started bellowing over there. So what I'll do is it'll stop that water flow from leaving my tanks, and that's not what I want to happen. So that's definitely something that needs to be flowing so my roots don't get waterlogged. So what I did was I put that pea gravel in. Now the next step is I'm going to load this thing up with trash, basically organic material. I've got some rotting pine branches, got some oak. A lot of this stuff that I'm putting in there is already starting to rot, so it's just going to help the process along. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the bottoms of these things with stumps and old logs and stuff like that. The reason is because if I was going to fill this up with garden soil or compost, basically what will happen is the plants are only going to be growing in about this much of the bed. So if you've got about a foot of growing area, why would you want to waste your good resources and your good dirt in that lower area? So if you fill it up with something to fill that area, basically what will happen is you'll save money. Also, over time that stuff's going to break down, making it more soil for you. So if those plants that you plant in there has a deep root, what it'll do is it'll go down and tap into that compost that's basically being created in the bottom of your tank, and that's going to give you more nitrogen, more nutrients for your plants to grow and thrive. So let's get this wood loaded up in these tanks, and I'll show you that when I'm done. All right, so I got all that stuff put in the tanks. Now it'd probably be better if you use a little bit more, but as you can see, I don't have a whole lot of wood on our property, so of course I probably could have rode dirt roads or something and got some more. But I happened to go to Tractor Supply a while back, and they had some of this wood shavings, pine shavings. Well, they had gotten wet and damaged, and I think I paid like $2 a bag for them. So what's a better product to use than something that you got for almost dirt cheap? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill them on up with that, and then I'll show you what we're looking at once I get all that put in there. Well, here's what we got. Got about, I probably need another bag of this one. I need to go buy another bag or find something else to fill that one up with. This one's about where I want it at. It's about 12 to 18 inches from the top. That way I can fill the top layer up with compost or garden soil. I'm probably going to do 1/3 compost, 1/3. Probably going to do 1/3 compost, 1/3 like vermiculite or perlite, and then 1/3 peat moss to help with water retention. But one thing about these wood shavings is they are very good about holding water. So they act like a big sponge. So they are going to help with some water retention, and they're going to break down. I wouldn't recommend growing directly in wood shavings, because if you're not careful, they're going to cause a lot of acidity in your soil, especially if they're pine. Pine tends to have high acidity levels, and some plants likes that high acidity, but for what I'm doing, I'm probably going to be doing some lettuces and tomatoes and stuff like that, and those aren't really keen on a lot of high acidity levels. So, but Well, that's where I'm going to stop at today. I'm probably going to come back tomorrow or the first of the week. Go ahead and finish these off. I'll bring you along when I get there. What's up, everybody? All right, it's a new day. As you can see, new shirt. Really haven't done anything with the garden, bed gardens. Just going through a box in there. That's all right. So here's what the plan is today. So I went to Lowe's and I got some manure compost. I think it's cow manure compost. Also, I got some just cheap garden soil and peat moss. So here's the point, here's the plan. Here's the plan of what I'm going to do. I'm going to mix it, these 3 ingredients, into a barrel or wheelbarrow and start filling these bins up. Hopefully I have enough. If I don't have enough, then I'll have to go get more. But hopefully this will be plenty of filler for it. I got 15 bags of the manure and I got 15 bags of the garden soil. Only got 3 bags of the peat moss. The reason I only went with 3 bags is I don't want it. Peat moss can hold a pretty good bit of moisture. All this wood shavings down here will hold moisture. And I was gonna go with vermiculite or perlite. I hope I'm saying that right. But unfortunately, I can't find none in my area. I went to Lowe's, Tractor Supply. They had it, but it was in little bitty bags. And that's not really going to help me out much. And they didn't have like 5 bags, and it was real small bags. So I'm like, well, we'll just see how it goes without it. Hopefully it won't be too wet. But that's what this is all about, is experimenting and see what works for you. To be honest with you, I think it'd be fine. I think it's going to hold the moisture and not get too wet. But like I said when I started this project, then if it does, I'll pop some more holes in the bottom of that tank and let it drain. So hang tight, let's get started and see what we can get done today. me tell y'all something. I knew I was fat. Okay, that's not no short of imagination there. But when you get over here and you start picking up these daggone bags of dirt and mixing it all up and everything, and it's not even a hot day. It's not. It might be 70 degrees out here. But Fat Boy about had a heat stroke. I got lightheaded, had to go inside, give me some some cool water. I need to start eating more vegetables. So this is a start of me becoming healthier. Because Lord help, I'm fat and out of shape. Well, that was a process. And I realized that, so I got 30 bags of compost and garden soil. And I got 9 cubic feet of peat moss. Well, I'm a little short. I think what I'll do is I'm going to come in, and what I did was I went ahead and soaked all this down real good so that peat moss can, oh, I'm out of frame, so that peat moss can soak up some of that water and go ahead and start the process of holding some water in these beds before I plant. But probably what I'm going to do is, just before I plant, I'm going to get some mushroom compost or something and just kind of go over the top of these beds, just so it has, those seeds has a little bit of extra nutrients. I think it'll be fine, honestly, but we're going to see. And when I start planting, I'll bring y'all along. I don't know if I was thinking about doing like one long video throughout the summer of what we're doing here. I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to do update videos and just kind of update y'all on what I'm doing. Now at the end of this video, I will show you the planting process, and that'll be the end of the videos once we get everything planted out. And I'm going to go through and show you how I do square foot gardening, because that's the real advantage of working with a raised bed system instead of a row or an in-ground system, is being able to plant high density. And we're going to see what we can get growing this year. One thing I will say is, if you're dealing with peat moss, make sure that your peat moss is moist before you put it in your beds. The reason is because if your peat moss or coconut coir, whichever one you're using, if it's really, really dry, it'll actually become, I think it's called hydrophobic, where it'll repel water. And that's real aggravating when you're trying to fill it up with water. Now, what I was using has been sitting outside, and all of it was actually pretty wet. So it had already hydrated a lot when I put it in the beds. That's why I didn't soak it before I mixed it. It was already pretty good and moist. So but yeah, next you'll see me planting. It will not be today. Hate that I'm breaking this video up in so many different parts, but of course for me it's going to be probably 2 or 3 days, but for you it'll be about right now. Well, good morning everybody. Like I said, wasn't going to be very long for y'all. However, it's a new day. Let's show you what we're going to get done today, or what I've already done. So I went to the other garden that was all grown up, and I dug out some of these bunch of onions, and I went ahead and transplanted them into the raised bed. The reason I did that, let me get over here in the shade so y'all can see me. The reason I did that is because onions are really good about deterring pests. If you plant certain things in your garden with certain things, look it up. It'll help prevent pests and keep your garden running like it's supposed to. Now, I don't know if onions works for what I'm planting, but I needed a spot for my onions, and I was like, well, you know what? That's gonna be a good spot for them. It's out of the way, and on the end of I have this little half moon spot here. That's not going to be a full square foot, so that'll be a perfect spot to put in some garlic or some onions. So let's get started. I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna do this today. So we're gonna try to do the square foot garden method. Let me show you what I'm doing. So this is 1 square foot. Let me grab my pen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark that square foot just like that on this side too. So when I pick it up, I have 1 square foot of soil that I'm going to work with. Now, of course, we know it's going to come out this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm planting carrots here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So the carrots take 16 seeds per square foot. So I'm gonna do 16 here and 16 over there, and I'm gonna start working this bed back and filling in planting. So with square foot method, you get a higher density of plantings. So you could get, instead of doing, let's see what the package said, if I was row planting these carrots every 2 inches is what they'd say. So you're looking at 1 row every 2 inches. So you'd only get 6 plants out of a foot of row. However, when you're doing a square foot, I can get 16 in 1 square foot because I've got them spaced 2 inches apart, but it's within that square foot. So let me get these in the ground. That's what I'm gonna be doing. Unfortunately, I do not have a tripod. I don't know where mine is. I've not made a video in a while, and unfortunately, things get lost. So hang tight for me. All right, so I got those in there. What I did was I just run it all the way across, making 1 row. So the next spot we're gonna plant here, she's already got it laid out, is cabbage. And cabbage is 1 plant per square foot. So I've got my cabbage plants here. I'll go ahead and put those in the ground. All right, I got those in. Now for the some cherry tomatoes. My youngins love these things. Just little cherry tomatoes. These are determinate. Supposed to get 1.5 feet tall, so not super big. So hopefully they'll work out good in here. Now tomatoes is 2 per square foot. So I put 1 here and 1 here. Maybe that'll work, and we'll see. So y'all stay tuned, and hopefully I'll be able to get some more seed, which I have some more. I just could not find them. I have some lettuce, but I don't know where they are. Little tip for y'all: when you get your stuff together, make sure it's all in 1 bag. That way it don't get thrown all over the house. Well guys, I appreciate you for watching the video. Once these seeds and stuff gets coming up a little bit, and I'll let y'all know more about it. I will say that one of the reasons why, let me step out this way. So I will say one of the reasons why it's a different day and I'm wearing a new shirt and everything, because we had a lot of rain, and I was not expecting as much rain as we did get. Hopefully it didn't rearrange my seeds. If so, I'll have to replant, but it is what it is. That's a part of it. But stay tuned for the update, and thank y'all for watching.